Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little black subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that black subscribe button. Really does help our audience grow, really does help our channel grow, really does help and mean more than you could possibly know. So go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Also, thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet 50 on any game, get $250 in free bets. Thank you again to Betfred. Thank you again to you. Now, here is the video that you came here for. And I do want to wrap with a story that we've been following very closely here on the Aaron Torres pod over the last couple weeks, and that is the status of five-star forward Ron Holland. By now, I think everybody kind of knows the story, but this is a player that some deem to be the best high school basketball player in the current class of 2023, meaning the current graduating class that's basically done with high school as we speak. 6'7", 6'8" forward, recently went up to number 1 in 24/7 Sports final rankings of this class, and a player that just about everybody deems to be a lottery type talent in the next 2024 NBA draft. So he's had a little bit of an interesting recruitment, and why it's become interesting over the last couple weeks and last couple months is this. He was a kid who was from Texas and had been committed to Texas for about 6-7 months, commits in the fall, and even after the chaos at Texas over the last couple months, he stuck with the program. He stuck with the program when Chris Beard was arrested. He stuck with the program when Chris Beard was fired at Texas. I understand the charges were dropped, so, just to be clear, I get how the legal process played out there, but stuck with Texas through all that, then stuck with them after Rodney Terry got the full-time job, only to, a little under a month ago, in the last week of April, basically say that he wanted out of his letter of intent and wanted to reopen his recruitment. And so since then, it's been about 4 weeks at this point. It's been very quiet in his recruitment for one pretty straightforward reason. Texas refused to let him out of his letter of intent. And everybody's trying to figure out why. Basically, the reports were that Texas is trying to make sure that nobody tampered with Ron Holland, that kind of stuff. And we really hadn't had an update on Ron Holland until Tuesday, when we got not one, but two very interesting updates as it pertains to this number 1 high school player in America. Ron Holland, on Tuesday, he officially was released out of his national letter of intent from Texas. And we also learned that Ron Holland already has a visit set up, but it's not with a college. Instead, it is with the G League Ignite program, the NBA's basically developmental program for elite prospects, and that he is visiting G League Ignite today, Tuesday. As I'm saying it out today, it's really Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you're listening. Ron Holland visited on Tuesday of this week. And so since the day that Ron Holland decommitted, many, myself included, I think I was actually the first one to say it, said that I believe that Ron Holland, it was basically, once his recruitment was officially reopened, it was going to come down to either G League Ignite or Arkansas. And so with the news on Tuesday that he's both been released from his letter of intent, but also that he's visiting G League Ignite, a lot of people have asked me, Torres, does this mean he's officially going to G League Ignite? And what I would say is no, I do not believe that he is. And I believe that his recruitment is still very much wide open. Keep in mind, by the way, I'm recording this about 6 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. Stuff changes fast, but this is kind of what I can tell you. When people freak out and say, oh, this definitely means that he's going to Ignite, I don't think it does at all. First of all, think about the timing of this visit. Remember, this could have nothing to do, the two news stories of Texas releasing him from his letter of intent and him visiting Ignite could have nothing to do with each other. Texas not releasing him up until Tuesday, all that means is that he can't visit or he can't commit and sign with any other colleges. But pro routes, he could go any pro route he wants. He could go to G League Ignite. He could go to Overtime Elite. He could go overseas. He could announce that he's basically taking the year off and just training. He could do anything he wants while he is currently under a national letter of intent with Texas. He just can't commit and sign with another school. And so just because he happens to be visiting Ignite the day that Texas releases him doesn't mean that it's a lock. We don't even know if these two things are coincidental. Maybe the visit was already set up. Maybe it was before he even knew he was going to get released. And then beyond that, even if over the next couple of days he doesn't set up a visit with Arkansas, I don't know that I'm freaking out if I'm an Arkansas fan, because the bottom line is he's very familiar with the program. visited campus multiple times. The staff was out to see him many times in Texas. And so this could almost be like some of the Hunter Dickinson stuff from a few months ago. Hunter Dickinson took some visits, but he basically said, I don't need to visit Maryland or Kentucky or whoever. I've already seen you 3, 4, 5 times. And so that's where I'm at with Ron Holland, is I don't get the sense that just because he's visiting G League Ignite means that any other specific school is out of the running, especially an Arkansas program that he developed a real relationship with. And I've said many times in the last month, I believe, and my understanding is there was real disagreement in his initial commitment. I think part of his camp wanted Texas, but part of his camp wanted Arkansas as well. And so really, now that he's out of his letter of intent, it'll be interesting to follow. And my guess is that this gets resolved pretty soon. And really, he's got 2 great options if it does come down to Arkansas and G League Ignite. I'm not going to say one is definitely better than the other. I mean, I'm the college hoops guy, so I would love to see him play college hoops. But let's start with Ignite, because this one thing I'll say is this, is like I just said, I love college hoops. I wish all these great players came and played in college and had fun. 1, because it's good for my business, our business, us as fans. 2, I just think the college experience is awesome. But it's not for everybody, and I'm okay with that. And I have made peace with the fact that there are going to be alternatives to college, and that's a great thing. It is a great thing for players who aren't interested in school, just want to get better, just want to focus on basketball. And as I've told you many times, G League Ignite is a real program run by real professionals, and they're doing really good work. I've told you before, but the head coach of that program is a guy named Jason Hart. Played in the NBA for 10 years, played at Syracuse under Jim Boeheim, was a longtime assistant coach at USC. Got to know him well during his time at USC. I happen to like him. I happen to think he's a very good coach. I haven't talked to him in a few years since he left SC, but I just bring it up to say he's a great talent developer. He was at USC. It's worth noting. You know that I think it's like in the last 4 or 5 years, USC is behind only, I believe, Duke and Kentucky in terms of NBA draft picks. Don't know if that stat's correct. But you watch the NBA playoffs, DeAnthony Melton with the Suns, Chimezie Metu with the Kings, Jordan McLaughlin, Evan Mobley with the Cavs. USC puts dudes in the pros, and Jason Hart was a big part of that. And so if that's what Ron Holland wants, if he just wants to say, you know what, it's all about folk development, forget school, forget this, forget that, I can't blame him for wanting to go with G League Ignite. And the thing I'll say is, since Jason Hart took over, the resume and track record is starting to speak for itself. Last couple of years, Dyson Daniels, a kid from Australia, came in, turned into a lottery pick. Scoot Henderson this year will be a top 3 pick in the NBA draft, played the last 2 years at G League Ignite, never played college basketball. A couple other kids in that program will be drafted pretty high this year as well. Leonard Miller, a kid from Canada, etc. But I'll also say this. I think Arkansas is a heck of an option too. And again, selfishly, I'm a college hoops guy, would love to see him play at Arkansas. And I think Arkansas is kind of that best of both worlds alternative. Is 1, you get to go to college. You get to be a kid for another year. You get to do the college experience, but you get to do it in a basketball crazy state, for a basketball crazy fan base, for a program that is already going to start in the top 10 with or without you, maybe the top 5. I'll be releasing my updated top 25 on Wednesday. Yeah, Arkansas is very high. And so you get all of the college experience, but you also get it with a program that is very NBA centric and NBA focused. We all know Eric Musselman, longtime NBA assistant, and obviously a longtime NBA head coach. Keith Smart, former NBA head coach, is on that staff. Ronnie Brewer, former NBA player, is on that staff. Anthony Ruda, who worked in the professional ranks for a number of years, is on that staff. And so you look at what Arkansas can provide, and it's great. And oh, by the way, you get all the other cool stuff too. You get to play in front of 18,000 people every single night instead of, with no due disrespect, instead of half-empty crowds in the G League program. And I would also say, I think if it comes down to money, I don't think Arkansas is lacking in NIL either. And so again, I have no problem with either decision that he makes or if another school gets involved, but I do think it probably does come down to those final 2, either Arkansas or G League Ignite. Now, in terms of if there's a leader, listen, based on the information I have right now, I don't know that there is, but I listen, I've said it since the day he decommitted. These are the 2 most logical landing spots to me, and I do think it'll probably come down to one of those 2. Another thing about Arkansas, by the way, is they now, kind of what I just said about G League Ignite, now just 3 or 4 years into the Eric Musselman experience, they have a track record of producing pros. Moses Moody already won an NBA championship. Anthony Black is about to be a lottery pick. Nick Smith could sneak his way into the lottery. You go on and on and on down the list. By the way, Caleb Martin for the Miami Heat, former Musselman guy, even though it wasn't at Arkansas. So I just bring it up to say 2 great options. I don't feel as though there's a leader right now. And listen, I still think when push comes to shove, if I had to take a guess, if I was in Vegas and such a prop bet was offered, I would go ahead and take that Ron Holland probably plays college basketball next year, but we'll see and we'll find out. Again, he knows the Arkansas program very well. And in the coming days, he will get to know the G League Ignite program very well. And it'll be curious to see what decision he makes. Again, my slight lean would be that he's an Arkansas Razorback when it's all said and done.